Well, good morning, everybody. 11:41 a.m. on the July 5th, and I'm a bit nervous. Let me turn this around and start driving, and I'll tell you why. I'm not nervous very often. There's the lake at my campsite. This is my first sort of shift working at the museum here in Eagle Nest. And I don't know what it's going to be like. My shift is going to be noon till 6, and I'm driving over there right now. Now, I can take Dottie with me, but I'm not going to take her on the first day. I want to get the lay of the land, make sure there's a nice little place for her there. But next week, I'm pretty sure Dottie will be with me. But I just want to get a handle on things first before I add Dottie, into the mix. And why am I nervous? It's just, doing something new, normal jitters. And I was talking to one of the other volunteers there, and I said, boy, it's intimidating. You guys know so much about the town and the area, and I know so little. I was expecting her to say, oh, you'll catch on, no problem. She said, as a matter of fact, you're the only volunteer ever that hasn't lived their entire lives here in Eagle Nest. And I'm like, what? That's a little intimidating, but we'll see. My philosophy is going to be, if someone has a question that I don't know the answer to, I'm going to have my laptop with me, and I'm going to say, well, I don't know, let's find out together. And sitting here to turn onto 64 and having to wait for traffic is a new thing, but summer is here, 5th of July. And I'm just going to have to wait. That is by far the longest I've ever waited to pull out onto the road. Wow. So I got what I thought was, I'm thinking was a pretty good, why is that crooked? The view on the road looks crooked. I guess I can fix that in editing, but, well, that's no fun. The horizon isn't very level. Well, I'll have to take a look at what I was using there for settings, but I can correct for a uneven horizon. And here we are. And guess what? I don't see any cars here. It says closed. Well, I guess I'll have to wait for Jack to show up, because there's nobody here but me. No one here but me. And I'll join you. I'll be sitting on the porch, and I'll be with you in a minute. Well, here I am sitting on the porch waiting for somebody to show up, and I am 12 minutes early. I expected it to be open. I guess I didn't ask. Who knows? I'm sure everything will be just fine. So I'm sitting on the porch of the museum, and I'm sure many of you have seen the whole thing before, but not everybody. So let's take a little walk out and look at the outside of the building here. You can see the lake way down there. And this is the museum and visitor center. This is it. And Let's look at the signs. You got some trails in Eagle Nest. And then we have 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So free Wi-Fi access. No admission fee, but donations are appreciated. We're a nonprofit organization staffed by volunteers, so they definitely, whatever you can afford when you come through here. And there's an EV charging station. I don't know if you noticed that as I walked by, but if you have an electric vehicle, I guess of the proper type, you can put your credit card in that contraption and charge your vehicle. And there's free Wi-Fi. So, you know, I'm doing this just for the love of it and for, you know, just getting more and more incorporated into this area since I love it so much here. This is my second summer here. Half a summer last year, full summer this year. I'll be here. I got here about the first week in June, and I won't be going back home until, going to Artesia until the middle of September. And so that's a long time. And the more videos I shoot here and the more time I spend in the museum, the more connected I feel to the area and the happier I am to be here. It's a never-ending cycle of being more and more excited about being here. So that's about all I have to say for now, and I'm thinking I'll come back to you later in the afternoon and when I'm inside the museum doing the job, and I'll keep you updated. Now, if you are in the area, you'd like to meet me and Dottie, not Dottie today, but Dottie starting next Saturday probably, come by the museum on Saturdays from noon until 6. And look forward to meeting you. See you in a few minutes. Well, here I am, folks. I'm in the museum, and my shift is almost up. It's a little shorter. Going to be a little shorter today than I thought. It's only going to be to 4 o'clock. So the commitment is that somehow, some way, we keep on the open days, we keep it open 6 hours. And Jack is here with me, and he was here earlier today for another one of the dam tours. So he got a lot of that time in. So we'll be taking off in a little less than 30 minutes. But this is supposed to track me. I'm going to tap on my face here. There it is. It's supposed to move when I move. There we go. So this is kind of like what a big part of the museum looks like. And I told you I was nervous about it, but it turns out you don't need to be an expert on all things in the area. What you need to do is to be willing and able to engage people in friendly conversation when they walk in the door, starting with, hey, where are you from? And it goes from there. And people have a great time coming in and having discussions about the area. They talk about where they're from. And I actually had more information than I anticipated having, because this is kind of funny. When Jack was tied up with people here, the first person came in that I was dealing with alone, and here was her question. And keep in mind that yesterday, you've probably seen this video, I did a video chronicling the entire 4th of July parade. And she comes in, she said, I just had one question. Do you happen to know of anyone that filmed the 4th of July parade yesterday? So it was kind of a perfect little question for me, because I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do. And I gave her one of my little stickers and said, check out Travels with Dottie tomorrow, and you're very likely going to see a comprehensive video of the festivities from July 4th. So anyway, I know today was a short video. Maybe I'll add something on before I close this out and edit it. Maybe, maybe not, who knows. But if this is the end, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Take care. Well, it wasn't the end. I'm back. I'm sitting in the parking lot outside the museum, and I tell you, it was a big success. I felt very comfortable. Um, I was able to answer more questions than I suspected that I was going to be able to, and I had a really good time meeting new people and uh, just being in the museum and being in that environment was a lot of fun. And I got to hang out with Jack, my friend Jack, for the whole day. Now, I'm not going to be able to do that every Saturday because the whole idea is for me to be the Saturday person and not require another volunteer to be there. But I pretty much have everything pretty much down in terms of procedures, and I've got my own key to the place. And um, it's just I'm thinking back to the first time I went through here and looked over here at this building and thought, well, that place looks like it might be interesting. Little did I know I would be working there as a volunteer a year later. Who'd have thought, or maybe 2 years later is the first time I saw it, was maybe 2 years ago. Um, but what a lucky life I have as a full-time RVer. What do you think of that? So we're going to head back to the ranch. Tomorrow, there's the front of it. Tomorrow, and I'm going to drive around back to go out. I'll be coming back here in the morning, and Jack is going to be doing a lecture on, we're going to visit a couple of local ranches, and we're going to talk about the history of that and go on a little field trip. We don't have too many people signed up for it, so it's probably going to be small, but I reminded Jack, I said, look, we're going to have a video of it. So it's going to be now these tours and lectures are something that can live forever. So that's a big difference. So we're going to head down here to my home at Weathers RV Resort. I don't know what that sound was exactly. It's never good when you hear unfamiliar sounds in your vehicle, but I don't know what that was. It's about time, 4 o'clock. It's about time for the afternoon storm to roll in, but I'm seeing some buildup of clouds over the mountains, but I'm not seeing any obvious storms. And here we are at Weathers RV Park. And there is our proprietor, Marty. Hey, little puppy dog.
How was your day at work?
Hang on, let me shut off the recording. So I just needed to visit with Miss Marty for a minute. She wanted to know how my first day at the museum went. I told her it went great. It's amazing. And this yellow car, they said, I don't know who those people are. And I bet you they're just driving through to check out the RV park. There's some boondockers over there at the right, on the right. Now, I will say, you know I'm here for the summer, but it's a special arrangement I have with Marty, and she doesn't normally, long-term boondocking is not something that's offered here. So please don't come and say, well, Rob does it, so I want the same. It's not okay. She has short-term boondocking over there where when I mentioned it, there was one person boondocking out there. The rest of those rigs, I think, are kind of in storage there. But here we are. I heard a single bark from the trailer, I think, or it might have been Buddy over next door. I doubt it was Dottie, but we'll see. I'll be back. So here I am, back at camp, and on the other side of the trailer is the view of the lake, and this is the other side. And I could show you the front and the back, and you'd see beautiful rolling meadows and mountains and anywhere that we look. So that's pretty neat, isn't it? So today was the first day working volunteering at the museum, and it got me to thinking how vitally important it is that when you adopt this lifestyle, you're got your RV, got your rig, you're traveling from place to place, that you find something to keep yourself occupied in as close to a state of joy as you can get. And that comes through acclimation to the places that you like to stay, and having conversations with people and keeping your options open, and just being in the community, doing your best to be a part of the community. And, this opportunity came up when, I got to know Jack, and I'm spending time around the museum doing this filming, and I was listening, and I heard, the people that volunteer here are, closer to the 80s. Some are in their 80s. It's harder and harder. There aren't younger people that are expressing any interest. And the first couple of times I heard that, I thought to myself, well, that's terrible. That's too bad. And then it occurred to me, well, they're not doing this thing in the winter. They're doing it in the summer, and I'm here in the summer. Is there any reason I can't do this? The answer is no. Then is there any reason to believe I would find joy in doing this? And the answer was, there's a pretty darn good chance I'll find joy in doing this. And then I thought of the whole thing with, I often get viewers that say, hey, are you going to have a meetup? Can you meet? And I did one of those in Quartzsite, but I realized that up here in Eagle Nest, for the people that come through this area that are viewers, I can do a meetup every single week on Saturday. Now, I will warn you about this. I've said in prior videos I'm going to be there from noon to 6, and that's not always going to be the case. Because, yes, I'm the Saturday person, and all that we're really required to do is a 6-hour shift, and there's a lot of flexibility on what hours those can be. A lot of people would do 10 to 4, and I didn't do 10 to 4 because I have counseling sessions Saturday mornings, but there's some mornings where I don't have as many and I can get out early, so I may start as early as 10, 10 to 4, 11 to 5, and 12 to 6. So why do I say that? In case there's someone listening that's going to be the area and shows up at 5:30 and I'm not there. All right. If you want to be certain I'm going to be there, I would come between 12 and 4. And you can be rest assured I'm going to be there between 12 and 4. Little less of a chance between 4 and 6, but feel free to come by. I didn't bring Dottie. There's Dottie right here. Can you see Dottie? I don't know if you can see her. Dottie? That's a good girl. I left her home today only because I wanted to get acclimated on the first day, get a sense of where I could put her little bed, how that's going to work out. And it's going to work out just fine. I'm going to have her little bed that I'm going to pull out of the car and put behind the counter. There's a counter where I sit, and I'll leash her there, and it's probably not necessarily, but just for safety, and she'll be with me every Saturday. So if you want to meet Dottie too, come on out. I keep wanting to pinch myself that this is really the life. This is my life now, and it's you're watching me, right, and you're seeing me sit outside in this gorgeous place, and that is certainly part of it. That is definite. It's a material part of it, but it's not the biggest part. It is not the biggest part. The biggest part is finding a place that you're comfortable in and you're comfortable with the people. That's every time the most important thing is the people. Do I go to Quartzsite for the topography? I love the photography. I love the desert. There's almost an endless number of places I could camp in the desert, in Arizona, in New Mexico, California, Utah. We could go on and on with places that I could be, right? But it's the people that gather in Quartzsite that it's so near and dear to my heart. And certainly in Eagle Nest, as I'm getting more and more familiar with the people in the community, and I'm getting more and more of, so, you're the guy with the YouTube channel that does the videos. So I'm recognizable to many people because of that. But it's giving me access to meeting new people. I was invited to a party last night, a 4th of July party. I think I mentioned on a prior video that I got to meet some really, really fascinating people that live here and call Eagle Nest home. And it was just a lovely, lovely experience. And I'm expanding my circle of people that I know here in town. And it's a wonderful thing. Just like in Quartzsite and now Artesia, where I have my quote home base in my little tiny home. And certainly the vistas that I look out over in Artesia are not anything like this or really anything like Quartzsite. I'm not there for what I see out my window. I'm there for what I experience in terms of the friendships that I'm making and the people in the area that I'm coming to have a great deal of affection for. One of the things I say about Artesia, it's a bustling little town, right? And I don't live right in town. I live outside of town, but right in town, it's bustling. There's a Walmart. There's a fast food. There is traffic, not heavy traffic, but there's traffic and there's stoplights. It's kind of that size. But here to me is a personal discriminating factor that tells me about a community. No matter what the circumstances are when I've driven in this town, I don't hear people honking their horns. And I think that speaks volumes about the attitude of people in a community. If time after time, in traffic jams, in accidents, and bad weather, people aren't impatient enough to beat that horn, that tells you something very positive and very significant. So I'm having a love affair with Artesia, New Mexico, Eagle Nest, New Mexico, and Quartzsite, Arizona. I'm in love. Thanks for watching. And again, I apologize. This is kind of a short one, but we've had enough long ones, haven't we? Take care. And Dottie and I, right, Dottie? We'll see you tomorrow on the next one.